Hello, nerds! Thank you for joining me here on Nerd News Clips. This is the second channel. This is the place for all of the short-form content as well as the individual sections and just generally speaking smaller things. If you are into the longer form content, youtube.com/generallynerdy is the place to go see that. With that out of the way, let's get into this. First thing is music. As per usual, we have a very large music section. Largely new music videos, a couple of tours, and this is probably the section with the most regular-ass news, so let's do that. Starting off, we have no follow-ups in this one. Again, the unique section music usually is, but we do have a fair amount of new music to talk about. First piece of new music is a piece that we've been following for a moment, Devin Townsend's new project. The name of the record is Lightwork. It's coming out October 28th. The name of the song and video that he's released is called Moon People, and this is not what you are expecting from Devin Townsend. The name of the record, again, Lightwork, definitely reflects the feeling of this song. Has this weird, like, almost 80s kind of layered quality to it, kind of synthy even, so very interesting. Not much as far as chiggy chuggas and heaviness, so again, very not Devin Townsend, but pretty enjoyable nonetheless, surprisingly. So link down in the description to the video. Go check this out. This is a recommend, if for no other reason than curiosity's sake. Our next piece of new music is also a video, and it comes from Machine Head. The name of this song is No Gods, No Masters. It comes from their just released Kingdom of Kingdom and Crown, rather. And this new track, it's a little long. I'm not gonna lie, it is definitely a little bit long, but do I like a Machine Head song all of a sudden? Now, don't get me wrong, I do have an appreciation for Machine Head. I do have respect for what Rob Flynn and company do, but generally speaking, I'm not a big fan. There are some songs that I have liked along the way, but up until this point, I couldn't say that I really dug an album. And I don't know that I necessarily dig Kingdom and Crown, but this song specifically on Kingdom and Crown is enjoyable, is very well laid out, plays with the dynamics, plays up Rob Flynn, what I view as Rob Flynn's vocal strengths, and kind of shies away from some of the things that he's not so great at. I think this is a hearty recommend for the metal-minded, and even if you just like a pretty well-crafted song, you're not necessarily leaning in one genre direction or another, give this one a listen, just because this is, again, very expertly crafted, and I'm kind of impressed. Next up is a band called Semi-Rotted. This is a band whose lead singer also was in another band called Psychosexual, who then changed the name to Psycho Sinner, I believe, and it was hot garbage. The name of the man that we are speaking of is Jeremy Spencer. He used to play drums for Five Finger Death Punch. That Psycho Sinner band was hot garbage, and this Semi-Rotted is actually kind of good. This is enjoyable. It's quick. From what I've seen, they have released 2 singles off of this new record. They're both sub 3 minutes, so it's almost like death metal punk rock. This song specifically is a song called Torture Congregation. It features guest vocals from Will Ramos, from Lorna Shore, for those of you that don't know that name, which there's like 5 of you. Yeah, this is honestly enjoyable. If you are, you know, death metal is kind of for a certain subsect of people, so if you like that, then I definitely recommend this. Probably not the best death metal song to start your appreciation for, so if you don't listen to that kind of stuff, maybe steer away. But yeah, very interestingly good considering the other garbage this guy has given us. Then we're talking about Architect's new track, Deepfake. I'm kind of lukewarm on Architects, which is, I guess, a little blasphemic in the days of the modern metalcore, because they kind of lay the groundwork for what all of the other modern metalcore bands are trying to do. And I don't necessarily see why, because I kind of grew up with the early stages of metalcore, so like Shadows Fall, Killswitch Engage, so on and so forth, Unearth, all of this beautiful stuff. And Architects just kind of seen Afoot's a little secondary in comparison. They're fantastic. I'm not trying to sell them short, especially with this deepfake track. It's great. I really, really enjoyed this. It's very much a departure, though, from the sound that they've been establishing. I think because everyone keeps, trying to copy what they're doing, so they have to be the ones that do something new, and I appreciate this newness. This is a hearty recommend for the new Deepfakes track from Architects. And then we're talking In Flames. We're actually going to be talking In Flames a number of times in today's episode, but first time we're talking about them is for the release of their new track, The Great Deceiver. In Flames is solid proto-metalcore stuff. I believe they get lumped in with the Swedish melodic death. I don't like subgenres, we know this, but I don't necessarily see why they get lumped in with Swedish melodic death. They are a thing unto themselves, and you can definitely see how they have influenced the sound of what has become modern metalcore and just kind of the evolution from them to now. They are still doing the thing that they always do. If you are a fan of bands like Killswitch Engage and Shadows Fall and such, then definitely check out the new In Flames track. The Great Deceiver is worth your time. Kicking over to tours. All right, so of course it is that time of year where we are starting to gear up for holidays and such, and that means if we're talking tours, we're talking Trans-Siberian Orchestra. They have just announced their slew of tour dates for the next roughly 4 or 5 months. They're going to be touring starting in the end of October, running all the way through January, and there are 2 touring companies playing the TSO music. So there are honestly so many tour dates, I did not write any of them down. I did, however, down in the description, link to the website where you can purchase tickets, because if you haven't seen TSO, you probably should. Even if you don't necessarily appreciate Christmas music, you appreciate Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Those guys are incredible musicians, and I don't care if you like metal or not. It's music worth listening to. So go get your tickets for Trans-Siberian Orchestra. They have just announced dates. Go see where yours falls. Odds are they're coming to see you probably twice. Next on the tour list, we have, it's not technically a tour, it is a special show. This is for Danny Elfman this time, where we spoke about Gore's Halloween show last episode, or 2 episodes ago. We now have a special Halloween episode for Danny Elfman. Or it wasn't Gore, it was the Misfits, that's what it was. Misfits had a special show. This time, Danny Elfman, it is going to be a very similar band to what we saw him use on Coachella. Just a real quick refresher on that. Guitarist, we have Wes Borland, yay. Nili Brosh, who was not on the Coachella date. We also have bassist Stu Brooks, who was. Josh Freese on the drums, who also was. Freese and Borland together is always amazing. On top of the fact that you're going to see Danny Elfman, it is a single date, like I said. It's going to be the Hollywood Bowl on Halloween. If you can get tickets, they're going to be ridiculously expensive, so congratulations, you make $1 million a year. And it's going to be great to watch in post, I'm sure, but I'm not going to be able to get tickets. I wouldn't be even if I lived in California. And our next tour announcement has to do with Pantera. This is kind of a follow-up, not exactly a tour per se, because it is only 4 dates, and they are all festival dates. And it sounds like that is going to be how Pantera goes across the world. This iteration, I guess, of Pantera is going to be trekking across the world is through festival dates. Those festival dates are as follows. We have December 2nd is going to be the Hell and Heaven Metal Fest in Mexico. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of the city of Mexico, but it's in Mexico somewhere. And then you have December 9th, 11th, and 18th. They're going to be on the Knotfest bill alongside Slipknot and other major heavyweights in the metal community. None of these dates are American dates just yet, so as those get announced, as they get some big enough festivals to house Pantera, we will be talking about it, but that is all we have for the Pantera tour dates right now. And then our final tour that literally just got announced, only one outlet had the dates that I could see as I was doing the research for this last night, and that is Cannibal Corpse has literally just announced a tour starting November 3rd, running through December 10th. They're going to be touring with Dark Funeral, Immolation, and Black Anvil. I will link down in the description the specific dates. However, tickets have not gone on sale for anything yet, so stay tuned for that. That is what we have for tours, though. Let's roll into regular ass news, and like I said, we are going to be talking about In Flames a number of times. This is that second number of times. This time we're talking about they've released a hot sauce. Apparently, the dudes in Flames, the metalcore godfathers, have released a hot sauce with Heartbeat Hot Sauce Company. It is a variation on the main hot sauce that the company has released. Sounds like it's going to be a little bit hotter than that main variation. And yeah, just super interesting. I really love it when bands start to branch out and do more than just, hey, we got t-shirts, or sleep in their brilliant pillowcases. I think it's cool when, you know, you get a band like Slipknot has an alcohol, I believe it was a whiskey, and then now In Flames has a hot sauce, and other bands with their tequilas and the vodkas. I think it's starting to become a little trite, but right now it's still pretty cool. As we go into other places and we see other bands doing, like, starting labels and things like that so they can help out the community, I just think it's a beautiful thing. So yeah, In Flames doing their part in enriching the culture of the metalhead community. I think it's awesome. Our next piece is a little sticky, and we're going to get into some strange territory. Hold on. All right, so our next piece has to do with the Murderdolls, a band I thought we were done talking about. It is significant. The genesis of this news piece has to do with the fact that the first record, Beyond the Valley of the Murderdolls, is now 20 years old. That makes me feel super old. But it is a thing. And that's kind of where this comes from. What is happening? So members of the band of the Murderdolls, obviously not Joey. Joey Jordison famously was the godfather of this band. It was birthed from his brain, and he and Wednesday 13 kind of were the creative forces behind everything attached to the Murderdolls. So we're going to just lay that out. That is, without debate, exactly how this band started and continued. So, the 20th anniversary of the Beyond the Valley of the Murderdolls record saw Acey Slade, who was the other guitar player on that record, as well as Eric Griffin, who I believe was the drummer for that record, have launched a new website around the band, have also launched merch and things dealing with the name The Murderdolls, and Wednesday 13, who has been the vocalist for the entirety of the lifespan of that band, has taken to social media to kind of let the world know exactly what's going on. It would seem that Acey and Eric do not have the permission to do these things, at least not from the Jordison estate. They did go through all of the hoops legally as far as what they had to do in order to obtain the rights to do this from Warner Brothers, because I believe that's the record company that owned the rights to the actual music and the records and so on and so forth. So they've done their legal duty in that they can legally represent themselves as the Murderdolls and then capitalize on said money. But they didn't okay it with anyone else associated with the project, not the least of which the Joey Jordison estate, which I think they would have a say in this, so I think it's kind of weird that they didn't have to be consulted for the rights issues. But then again, Wednesday 13 said, no, this isn't an official thing, and Acey's response is the thing that really kills me on this. Acey's response is, well, we did our legal duty, so you can't stop us, and also anyone who's associated with the Murderdolls should do what we're doing and use it as a platform for their future endeavors. Which screams to me that Acey just doesn't believe that anything he's doing since he was only on this first record. Murderdolls put out 2 proper records, and each record had a completely different lineup, save for Joey Jordison and Wednesday 13. So everyone else on the record was a different player. So Acey was only on 1 album of this band, who was honestly kind of, if I'm being 100% honest, who was kind of famous for being associated with the other main band that Joey Jordison was a part of, i.e. Slipknot. So they got notoriety borrowed from somebody else, and so now Acey Slade is trying to borrow from borrowed notoriety, and just, it screams of desperation and sadness and just... It's really unfortunate, but it is what's going on. I think Wednesday 13 is absolutely right to call these guys out for being the grifters that they are. I think if you are putting out quality music, you don't need to lean on the notoriety of somebody else. You should just be able to do good quality music. And honestly, Acey Slade is a dude that's been in the music industry for a while. He has something of a name unto himself, so why does he need to make this a platform for which he can jump from? None of that part of it really makes sense and just seems sad. So that's what we have for the Murderdolls. Our last regular-ass piece of news has to do with Black Veil Brides, a band we don't talk about on this channel very often because I'm not a big fan. Andy Biersack, vocalist for the band, does things for the community, so I do appreciate it. So when things like this happen, that's when we talk about them. But as far as their musical releases, we'll let you know when they release stuff, but I don't really react or review any of their stuff because I'm not a fan. Anyway, I don't feel the need to... I don't think it would be constructive to kind of analyze their stuff necessarily until it becomes a little bit more noteworthy. And that sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, and I'm not. But continuing on, I'm going to stop with this bird walking. So Black Veil Brides were supposed to play in Colorado at the Red Rocks Amphitheater last night, so the 30th, as I'm recording this. It should have been tonight, but, the life happens, and I'm recording a little late. Anyway, so weird technical issues, the entire show went on because they're on tour right now with Ice Nine Kills and somebody else, and I didn't write it down because it's not necessarily pertinent to the episode, but they are on tour with other bands. The other 2 main bands on the bill got to play the show, but for whatever reason, Black Veil Brides, who's in the middle of the bill, there was issues that stopped them from playing for whatever reason. It sounded like it was technical, according to the article that I read, but that doesn't make any sense. If one band can play and the last band can play, then why does the middle band not? I would have to see the technical breakdown of what happened in order to buy that it was something technical and not some sort of interpersonal issues. So instead of playing their set, Biersack came out, Andy Biersack, again, vocalist for Black Veil Brides, came out on stage and said, sorry guys, there have been issues. We are not going to be able to play tonight, but, and I'm paraphrasing here, but we will be playing later in Denver this week, this coming Thursday. It is going to be a free show for everyone who has tickets from tonight. The venue that they're playing is a venue called the Gothic Theater. It is a much smaller venue, so I don't know. I'm sure that they're not anticipating the entirety of the Red Rocks crowd to show up because they wouldn't be able to take them all, but that's still pretty awesome. They were even called out online on the Twitters by Mr. D. Snyder himself from Twisted Sister, together about how awesome they were to their fans. And I must agree, that was pretty incredible thing for the guys in Black Veil Brides to do. So, I mean, kudos to that. We're ending this section, the regular news anyway, on a high note. I think that is a fantastic thing to do for the community. Let's move right along in this crazy news thing and get to music suggestions. This musical suggestion is, because it's the 20th anniversary, Murderdolls, Beyond the Valley of the Murderdolls is a classic goth punk glam weird amalgamation of stuff that just somehow works, even though on paper it really shouldn't. Joey Jordison and Wednesday 13 really are very interesting together. I think Wednesday's unique vocals shine on this first record. It's much more even than the second record, though the second record is also very good. And Joey as guitar player was something that nobody really expected. So that is why the suggestion this week for music is Murderdolls, Beyond the Valley of the Murderdolls. Once again, this has been just a brief segment from the larger episode that has been posted over on the main channel, youtube.com/generallynerdy. Go over there for the long form content, or just subscribe here if you want it in bite-sized chunks. Thank you very much for joining me, nerds. We'll see you in the next one. Before we go though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.